Welcome to episode 2 of the Delancey Throne podcast with Jason of ThatsVile. Jason creates these messed up, disgusting, disturbing sculptures, models, masks, phone cases, pipes, you name it, and he's either done it or he will do it because the guy is a genius. I really enjoyed chatting to Jason. I had a real good laugh, very informative. Certainly not safe for work, so don't go listening to it through some speakers. Make sure your kids aren't in the room also. Enjoy. Just to get started, Jason, obviously I just got to say big thanks for coming on. Really excited to chat to you. Thank you yet again.
No problem.
How are you getting on today? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
busy
yeah.
doing what I normally do, painting and making stuff. So,
So what are you up to at the moment? What's you got any big projects on or?
just a load of weird shit to be honest, as usual. I don't even know, just little creatures, big one, things like that. Yeah, just passing my Sunday basically is what I normally do. So.
Yeah, so you usually spend a Sunday on your work?
Yeah, it's my weekends. But obviously, I work full time, so this is my free time. So I don't get much time to do it. So the weekends, generally when I do it. So
So you don't usually do it on a weekday after work or anything like that, or?
no, I don't really get time to be honest. Obviously, coming back, having kids, things like that, family life. I get an odd hour here and there. So I kind of have in my head through the week ideas I want to do, and then Saturday, Sunday, that's when they all come to life, basically.
Are your kids allowed in your shed in your work area?
No, they're forbidden. To be honest, I don't think they want to go in there after stuff. No, I keep all that stuff away from them. I mean, sometimes when they're not there and I'm doing something in the kitchen, I have to. I forget sometimes. So I could be, I don't know, making some creatures sucking on a tampon, and then they'll walk in, and I'll forget what I'm doing, and I'll have to run away and hide in my garage. So yeah, there's been a few incidents like that. Obviously, my missus is not too pleased. Can you take that shit in the garage? I'll forget, and there'll be like I don't know, dripping vagina magnet stuck to the fridge or something like that. So yeah, they're not allowed in there, and I do try my best. Obviously, like there's little weird, creepy little things that obviously are not pouring with blood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they ain't too fussed, to be honest. I think they're a bit desensitized to it.
Yeah.
So if they're anything like me, they'll be warped as a kid like I was. So.
Well, if they produce work as good as you, then there's the benefit there, I suppose.
Yeah, I do try and get them into it. I mean, my youngest, she's 4. She's always playing with Play-Doh and that. So, but I have to fight an urge when I'm playing with her not to turn it into, I don't know, something obscene. But yeah, no, I do get them involved because obviously there's always clay and paint and things like that. So I do get involved. Maybe when they're older, I'll do it a bit more with them.
Yeah, yeah. What about your missus? What does she think about your work?
Um, not a lot, to be honest. She's very supportive. I do her head in like on the side or in the kitchen because I don't like to be locked away like a hermit in my garage doing it all because I don't get to see anyone. So I try and sneak bits into the house, and obviously there's paint and glues and slime and all sorts of stuff like that. So it kind of does her head in.
Yeah.
Bits of hair everywhere and that. So
Have you?
yeah.
So
Go on, mate, sorry.
had you been creating, your works like before you met her, or did you kind of start?
No, I didn't. To be honest, it all started as a Halloween mask. My stepdaughter wanted to go trick or treating, and it's something I've always wanted to do. In the back of my head was like make masks and things like that. And I thought, stuff it, I'll give it a go. I had a look on YouTube, few tutorials, went to Hobbycraft and bought a load of clay and plaster. Yeah, and just made like a creepy clown mask, and then from there, just kept doing it, and yeah, still doing it now. So
Wow, so it started off as kind of like just a mask for someone else, and then you just found a bit of a passion for it.
Yeah, well, it was for me. Like she said, we go trick or treating. I want to be a clown. I was like, yeah, stuff it. I'll have a go. You know, I'll make my own one. Try and have a go. Turned out shit, but it no, I enjoyed doing it. You know, the whole process. It was quite hard. You know, like from there's a lot to it. I don't really mess with masks anymore because very time consuming and you know they sell for about as much as a sculpture really. So you're spending a lot of time doing it, but they are good. So I'll go back to them every now and then. I've just finished a couple up for a guy in America. He wanted some like gory ones, but yeah, I will go back to them. It's just I'm enjoying making little sculptures and little weird things at the minute.
Yeah. I actually wanted to ask about your masks because, I mean, masks are obviously very different to your sculptures and things because I suppose anyway you've got some pretty important considerations to think about, like you know, the person wearing it has to be able to breathe and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that. I was thinking the other day when I was making something, it has such an impact on the design that you're doing,
Yeah.
just to be able to see through it. Um, just an eye hole can mess the whole mask up,
Hmm.
you know. So, and breathing, I'm not really bothered about, but it's quite important to be able to see out of them. So I used to make a lot of display masks. So just stick them on your wall, stick it on a mannequin, and then you ain't got to worry about eyes and breathing and all that. So, but yeah, it's something I'd like to do. I mean, like especially silicon masks. I mean, I've always wanted to play about with silicon, but it's quite expensive. And as this is only like a little hobby, really, I can't just be everything about masks is trial and error, like making the molds and painting it and using different materials. So it's I've got to tread carefully with what I do, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So what's like your process? You know, do you like sketch out an idea first, or do you just kind of go straight in? What do you do?
No, that's something I've never done. What I've learned is I can't, and I wish I could, because I envy everyone that can do it, is replicate something like sculpt a person or a face, and I'm just not very good at that. I know my my limitations and what I'm good at and what I'm not, and replicating stuff is not it's not for me. So I never plan anything really. It's just push the clay around till it resembles something, and I'll just go from there. I'll have little ideas like I want to do a big dripping vagina today, and then I'll go home and have a go at that. But or I want something ripped open at the stomach with eyeballs and tentacles coming out of it. But I never really have like a set idea. Just play about with it.
That's
Uh,
really interesting. Because I would have thought that you'd have to really plan it out first before you even get started.
no, no, no. Today, like today on the kitchen side, I just got all my clay out, rolled it all flat, got all my little armatures out of tin foil because that's what I make the base out of them. And that's basically how I do it. I roll the tin foil up until it looks like something, or I'll just get an idea in my head as that looks like a massive, I don't know, a massive toe, and I'll go from there. And yeah. So I've made 4, 5, about 6 things today. They're in the garage now. I've been painting them earlier, and they just started off as nothing. So I find I get very frustrated when I plan something and I can't do it. So this way I don't get frustrated because I didn't know what I was starting out with. So it's not wrong
Yeah, so it's a
because
bit more. Yeah, I suppose it's a bit more abstract. Then you're kind of starting it off without really a great idea, and then you're just kind of molding things into something that kind of looks good enough for you.
yeah, that's basically it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's because it started from draw. I was always into art and creating stuff, and I always wanted to be able to draw like comic book artists, and I used to get so frustrated with not being able to do it. And obviously, you got your nice pad and all your pens, and there's only so many times you can erase it and crumple it up. But with clay, it's very forgiving. You can just smush it into a ball and start again, and it's just lasts forever basically. So it lets you play about with ideas a lot more than say pen and paper. Well, I feel that anyway.
Yeah. So you start with tinfoil. You just wrap up some like tinfoil and try and make the form, I guess.
Yeah, some of them. I mean, these little dolls I make, like Disturbies. That's all it was. One day, like I made all my other creatures. I had a bit of tinfoil left over, and I just thought I had about enough for about a doll shape. So I just, smushed the tinfoil up into a basic doll shape, rolled some clay over it, and then stuck some eyes in it, and then basically I haven't stopped making them since. So, but yeah.
So what kind of like materials do you use? What's especially like your eyes? I'm assuming like do you create those eyes or are they from dolls or?
The little black ones.
Well, fucking any of them really. They all look so real. So
um, to be honest, the first ones I used, they were just off eBay, like the realistic human-looking ones.
yeah,
Um, I think they're all made in China, and sent. Most of the stuff comes from China, like little plastic things like that. For about £2, £3, you got a set of 6, I think, blue, green, brown, dark brown. And they're just plastic hollow eyeballs. They're made for putting in masks and things like that. But they were pretty cheap looking, some of them. And then there was an option to change the size, like the millimeters of each eyeball. You get massive ones, tiny ones, and there was a certain size, and they sent them, and they were really detailed for some reason compared to the other ones. And yeah, I've just kept buying them. I haven't seen anyone, because obviously on say Instagram, I follow a lot of people do the same sort of thing, and I've never seen anyone use these ones. I've seen them use the cheaper ones, but not these ones.
right.
So yeah, kind of stuck with them. And I've got little tiny eyeballs that come in all different colours. They come from China. They're for ball jointed dolls, I think they are.
Okay.
They're like weird little anime type dolls.
Yeah.
So yeah, and some of them like just the pure black eyes. I actually did them by accident because the clay I use is called Super Sculpey. It's like the flesh looking clay. So obviously that hardens in the oven when you bake it, and if you get distracted and leave it in the oven, it burns, and it went jet black. So I thought I'll roll them into little balls and burn them basically, and use them as eyes.
Ah, so that mistake actually gave you a good medium to use then.
Yeah, yeah. There's loads of little things like that. Obviously, the longer you do, the little tips. It's like I found a perfect way to do shit. Basically, it's you get the white clay and you burn that, and it goes brown and looks exactly like shit. So helpful little tips.
So how many like shit monsters have you created? I've seen a couple on your Instagram. I've seen one in a diaper, and it does look like a real good shit.
Yeah, that was an old sort of clay. It's like a pottery clay, and I don't know why or when. That was a while ago. That was, but yeah, just I think you rip it into little pieces and then smush it back together.
Yeah.
It's basically what happens in your stomach, and then yeah, just painted it brown. So yeah, there's loads of little things that you discover. Probably one day I was doing something and I was like, that looks like a shit. That does. I'll do something with that. So I don't know how that come about, but yeah, I can't. I don't think because I post most of my stuff on Instagram. I think they have a bit of an issue with shit, to be honest, on there. so, I've got loads of things I could do for that, but yeah, I have to tone it down sometimes. Most of the stuff is toned down on there.
Well, that's pretty great. If that's toned down, if some of your stuff is toned down, and I can't imagine what some of the real extravagant ones are.
Yeah, no, I don't know where to put them, or I'll probably make a few of them someday. I'll see what I can get away with, but I'm kind of pushing it at the minute. How I haven't had a warning, or
I was just about to ask that actually. Have you had any issues with Instagram or?
No, nothing. Yeah, and I see constantly people saying, "Oh, they've took this down," and they post a little warning sign, and it's beyond me how I haven't had one yet. To be honest,
Yeah,
I think
same here actually, because obviously with some people, a few artists that I follow, they'll draw, the nude body and things like that, and but that's like a 2D piece of work. You've got like a 3D cock with like some eyeballs out the balls or whatever, it's got like a real good form to it. So I'm kind of really surprised how that hasn't been flagged.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. It kind of feel like a release when I do get one. I'm like, thank you. Like, I'm being noticed. Maybe I'm just not good enough to be noticed like that yet. I don't know.
That's
So
when you know you've made it, yeah, when you get an Instagram
yeah,
flag.
I'll keep trying. I'll keep pushing. To be fair, I could probably this weekend make something that would. This is what I mean. I'm trying to tone it down, but if sucking on tampons and turds with eyeballs don't do it, I don't know what will. I'll have to really dig deep for that one, I think.
So where'd you get some of the ideas from these? What kind of comes into your head and thinks, yeah, I want to explore that. That'll be really good to draw or to create even.
Uh, I don't know. Just have different moods, different days. Sometimes I'm feeling a bit, you know, naughty and I want to push the boundary a little bit, and I think, fuck it, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Like, it's kind of like I said before, like the weird kid at school eating worms for attention. That's kind of like it's kind of like what I'm doing, I suppose, just the attention of it. But yeah, I don't. I get asked all the time, like you do them little things on Instagram. Ask me anything. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
And people say, "What's your inspiration?" Or just why.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to answer them, to be honest, because I don't know why. I really don't.
So we're talking about some of the materials and stuff that you use, right? This is a deep burning question inside of me, Jason.
Yeah.
How do you make the cum?
Ah.
I want to know the secret.
I don't think you do want to know. It's just that just comes from playing about, and probably one day I was like mixing something up, some glue, and then I was like, that looks like cum. So I probably did that before I started sculpting a big wrinkly penis, So that is, it's like a PVA glue type finish that I put on the model. It gives them that little sheen. That mixed with another glue, and the two kind of react, and it sets stretchy but still a little bit soft, and sometimes it'll react and bubble up, and you get little bubbles in it, and yeah, it's basically it. It's just playing about with different things. I've got loads of different glues and resins and paints, and just sit there sometimes just mixing them up and seeing what happens. Like I'll go to Poundland and pick all the nail varnish. Like there'll be great bright green ones that look like slime, and I'll take them home and I'll mix them all up and see what happens. And yeah, so it just came about from that. So
how do you change the color of the things like like the cum and stuff like that? Is it food coloring, or is it like what you just said? Maybe some nail varnish, or is it literally it could just be anything and everything?
no, just acrylic paint. So most of the paints are like
Okay.
your little fix models.
Yeah, yeah.
You get little pots of paint, like little acrylic. Some of them are clear and gloss, and I mean most of mine are red and green.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just add a dot of paint to it. But some brands of paint will react differently, so you got to know which ones to use. And a lot of the paint I use for it is watered down, so you use washes. So instead of just getting a big thick paintbrush with a load of red on it and slapping it on, especially to get like the fleshy sort of colour, because that was something I always wanted to try. And from like the first time I painted a mask, it's quite hard to get a skin colour. You can't just get a flesh colour and then just whack it on the mask. It's made up of so many different colours: browns, greens, blues. So when you're painting it onto the clay, you do like thin watered down washes. Let each layer dry. Put another layer on. Maybe heavier and red around the mouth. And yeah, there's a little bit to it. But
that's the clue then, is kind of keep it sort of thin and wash it rather than just
yeah,
straight up acrylic paint on it.
yeah, just building up the layers to it. I mean, the clay I use, it's called Super Sculpey. It kind of, but when you bake it, it's got like a really slightly translucent finish, but it's all flesh coloured anyway. It's like a beige colour, so it doesn't take much paint. There's just subtle bits of red, blue, and it kind of it drinks the paint like the water off it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a weird process, but it was one of them trial and error things. Just keep doing it. Then eventually, like some of my earlier ones are just slapped paint all over it basically. And hello,
Hello, we're back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Was that you?
I think it was you, but it's no problem at all.
I was babbling away, and I looked at the phone, and there was no one there.
That's fine. That's fine. Right. So what were we talking about? So talking about
Painting.
painting. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, coming from the paint, and we're talking about some of your materials. Me and you obviously had a quick phone call a little while ago, a few weeks ago.
Yep.
I want everyone else to know how you do your hair. How do you do the hair on these sculpts?
The hair.
Yeah.
I do get asked that quite a bit. It is actually my girlfriend's cast-offs. So every time she decides to colour her hair, she gets new hair extensions. So, I mean, they're like 300 quid. They're like real human hair, and they clip in, and they've got little clips. I think they were the old ones. Now she gets them just straight bolted into her head or glued in or whatever. So when she gets that done, she gives me a big bag of basically human hair. So it lasts me quite a bit. And yeah, that's all it is, really. Just human hair glued to my sculpture. Probably from some little old Chinese lady. I think they come from China or Russia. I think they've got like farms where they harvest the
They've got these people tied to tables and they're just shaving them.
Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, no, I do like putting hair on it. It makes it a little bit more creepy. I mean, I try not to do the same stuff. I said to you before, like my old man, my dad says, like, I can tell it's yours when I'm scrolling through Instagram because he's got a load of Tasha's hair stuck to it.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. If it's got pubes, then it's probably Jason's.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the teeth? Like, do you buy the teeth or?
Yeah, I did try making them, but they're quite hard to make realistic, like making them out of clay and that. If I want to do like fangs or sharp ones, then I've got a clay that's like a translucent white colour. So, but no, they come from eBay. They're called acrylic teeth. I think they come from like trainee dentists.
Okay.
So I got a big bag of them. So yeah. Got a big bag of those. I've got a big pot full of teeth and little ones I make myself. So I've got like them little pull-out drawers. One drawer's got eyeballs in, one's got teeth in, one's full of hair. And yeah.
So what is your workspace like? So it's in your shed, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's it's a garage. So one half of it is for masks, which is an absolute shithole because it's got clay and plaster everywhere. And I've got a table where I do my painting. So, and I've got shelves on the wall, basically where I put all my stuff, waiting to sell. So yeah, I mean, I would love to have a nice, neat workspace, but there's constantly cum and blood and hair and clay and shit like that everywhere. So that's never going to be me. I'd love to have like a clinical white, like my little logo up on the wall. It's never going to be me, though, I'm afraid. So.
Yeah, I think with the medium that you're working with, I think it's going to be pretty impossible to have such an impeccable workspace.
Yeah, I mean, if I made like nice little dragons and little things like that, I probably would, but it kind of ties in what I do. Just messy and horrible, and yeah. So yeah, maybe one day I'll be a bit more organised, but it doesn't help not having much time because, as I say, like I get probably about an hour when I finish work, cook tea, tidied the house. I'm scuttling off to the garage, so I haven't got time to tidy everything up after me. So it's a bit hectic.
Like, have you got kind of like an end goal with ThatsVile? Are you hoping that maybe at one point you can, leave the day job and that's going to be your main source of income?
Yeah, think about that every day. Like, only like say the past year when I've started selling stuff quite regularly, like it's a couple of items a day now. Where when I first started, it was like one a week if I was lucky. But I suppose that ties in with how good you are, really. And I feel like my stuff's got a little bit better than when I first started, like using different clays and because how I started was I'd have left. It's a different sort of clay for making mass. It's like a water-based clay. It's like a grey clay, and it crumbles quite easily when it's dry.
Hmm.
And I used to use. It's quite heavy as well. And I used to, when I had some left over from making a mask, that's how it started. These little sculptures. I made a little zombie bust out of one of the clays and painted it all up. And I was like, well, that was quick and easy and looks quite good. And I started making more little ones from there. But the clay is quite heavy, so if anyone wanted to buy it, it tends to be all from America where people buy them. So the postage is quite high because it's heavy.
Mm.
And yeah, that's where that started. So I'd sell 1, 2 a week. But yeah, with these, I don't know, I crank them out quite quickly. Like, and for the first time, in a couple of weeks, I've booked a full week off work
Hmm.
because the most I've ever had time I've had to do it is the weekends basically. So I'm going to give it a whole week, make as much stuff as I can, and see how I get on from there. It's like a taster to see, is this worth doing full time, or should I just stick to the day job?
Yeah.
Keep this as a hobby, because it's not something I can just walk away from a job. And I'd love to, but it's very risky. Like anyone starting their own business or working for themselves.
Hmm.
So yeah, unknown at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think to an extent as well. I imagine. I mean, I know you've got Facebook too because I follow you on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I imagine most of your sales come through Instagram. Is that right? Or
Um, I'm not sure because on Etsy you do have, obviously Etsy is where my shop is.
yeah,
You have all the details that tell you where all your visits and views are coming from. And say if I make something really gross and I put it on my Instagram, it gets a load of likes. There'll be a big spike on my Etsy store with obviously people clicking on it. But I think Etsy is really good just on its own, to be honest. That's the only thing that's putting me off starting my own independent website, because obviously you have to pay fees to Etsy.
yeah,
But it's not too bad what they charge. But they bring a load of their own traffic, like
yeah,
through Etsy, and it is most of the views and sales are through people who just searching for the word creepy on Etsy, basically.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, it's
so
interesting
yeah,
because obviously you say you've booked a week off and you're going to just pump some work out and see how you do financially in that week and things.
yeah,
But I think also, your income is kind of tied to, well, visitors on Etsy, visitors on Instagram as well, isn't it? And as that builds, inevitably you're going to be getting more sales as well. So as you build your presence there, you're going to
yeah,
be getting more. And I think, like, as for now, anyway, it seems like you're doing really well. Like you said, you're selling 1 or 2 a day on
yeah,
average,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Um,
It's to the point where I can't really keep up. I've got nothing in my shop to sell, and I need to. I always said when I was losing out money by going to work, then I won't go to work anymore. It would just make sense.
Definitely.
But at the same time, there is a guaranteed at the end of the week. This is what you get paid. You don't get that off Etsy. I could make double what I'm making a week at my normal job and then not sell anything for a week. So it's that uncertainty. So, but at the same time, I'm like, the more time I'm at home, the more I can make. So I really don't know what to do with it. I'll just see how it goes. I think I'll use this week as a little tester. So
When is that week so we can expect to see a whole load of new work getting uploaded?
uh, 29th.
Okay, I'll put it in my calendar.
Yep.
I'm
So
looking forward to it.
I'm gonna have a load of crate of energy drinks and a crate of clay being delivered, and I'm gonna lock myself in the garage for a week
It sounds good.
and see what happens.
I saw there was like a horror short film on YouTube called Red Babe, and it uses at the very least one of your masks.
Yeah.
Did you have any hand in like the development of that, or is it literally just you provided them with a mask, or they came to you, or what was what's the story behind that?
Um, that was quite a while ago. Yeah, I get that quite often. Like, just people say, "Can I have a mask?" And then I'm going to use it in a. I kind of forget about it because I'm not consumed with doing my stuff. That I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like seeing it in a video and that. I think my stepdaughter come across it and she says, "Did you film that?" And did you? I was like, "No." But yeah, I've got quite a few people making little independent films, want masks and that. I've got a guy I've just done 2 for, and he wants some hand puppets, which I've never done before. Like little latex ones, and little goblins and gremlins, which is like right up my street. So yeah, and a big horrible troll mask, and because I don't really like doing the realistic sort of ones because you're copying a person's face, and it, you've got something to compare it to, which is a real person. Which if it looks a bit off, if it looks a bit shit, then I don't know.
Yeah.
But if it's something that doesn't exist, you can't tell me it don't look like that, and it doesn't look right because it only exists in my head. So,
Well, you kind of you're always suggesting though that a lot of your work isn't anatomically correct and things like that, but a lot of it is. I think you have created faces, faces that look like they've had taken an axe, to the head and different things like that. But everything seems to be in the right place, Like I think you definitely have a knack at it.
Yeah, it's just me being critical, not how I would like it. I don't know. It's just it's not right to me. It's not perfect. It's not. It's just me being critical. That's all it is.
I think that's a lot of artists, though. I think that's a good thing because it just keeps you working on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the people you follow, especially on Instagram, I mean, some of the masks you see, they're like sculptures you see in museum. They're just perfect, and they're just even if it's like a zombie or a person, it's just they're that good. And I think that's where it comes back to me drawing. I'd have friends in school who could draw all these comic book style, like with the muscles and all that, and I'd give it a go. It'd just be a blob, with a big smiley face, and I get so frustrated because you can do that. Why can't I do it?
Yeah.
But it's practice. I could go back to that and do that now because I know through doing this, the more you do it, you learn a little thing every time, and you know what to do. This is why sometimes I don't even feel like doing it, or I'm in a bad mood. I'll just do it because it's all experience. Even if what I make is shit, it's still I rack that up as well. What not to do next time. So it's all experience. So,
and as you were saying, you can make a mistake, but then that mistake can then turn into like a shit or something. So
yeah, but it's mainly commission. Like people say, "Can you make me this? Can you make me that?" And they think you can do anything half the time. Like they don't understand. Like, well, I don't half the time. My own limitations. So they say, "Can you make me a phone case or a mask?" And I say, "Yeah, within reason, because I can't just make anything." Because I can, but it'll be shit, and I won't be happy with it, and you won't be happy with it. And what do we do then? So yeah, I always used to wonder why artists that have especially on Instagram, that have no commissions in big letters, and I always used to wonder why. Now doing it, I know why.
Yeah. So sorry,
go on, sorry. No, I was just saying that I get told what to do at work all day, and then it's different from me being sat in my kitchen just coming up with whatever I want, having a bit of fun with it, to being under pressure, to doing it. But sometimes, most of the time, it's stuff I'm like, yeah, that's right on my street, I can do that. But there are 1,000,001 Freddy Krueger masks and Michael Myers masks out there. What's the point in me doing it? The best I'm going to do is get it near enough to one that already exists, and you might as well just buy a perfect one that's great anyway, like, unless you're asking me to do it in a different style or play about with it. So yeah, I'm not a fan of commissions at the minute.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, because I think I kind of follow your line of thinking there. I mean, when I first started, I was like, God, I want people to commission me, and I was like looking for those commissions.
Yeah.
Whereas now, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, fuck, like, I really don't want to do a commission. I don't want to put people away, but it's kind of at the same time, like you said, you work, you come home, and then this is kind of like a little bit of therapy. And then when you have to work to to someone else's expectation, you can kind of suck the fun out of it a bit.
Yeah, it's just a bit under pressure, and you're constantly in the back of your mind like, what? Especially if they've already paid you some money for it, you're like, well, what if they don't like it? And it is a bit of pressure, but luckily most of the ones I do and have done have been, quite fun and that. But there's always that little bit. Oh, what if they turn around and say, "That's shit, give me my money back"? I don't want that.
And then it's not
So
just your time that you've wasted then as well, because you've got these precious materials, whereas with myself,
yeah,
I can just go, okay, all right, fuck it, I'll delete the file then. Whereas with you, it's like, right, well, what do I do with
yeah,
this?
yeah. I mean, especially a mask, because you've got this big ass plaster mold that, like, that's what I mean. If I pick a commission, I'm like, especially a mask, I'm like, can I sell that again? Because I've got this mold now that I can replicate, just pour latex in, pull it out and paint it. So luckily, some of the ones, like gory ones, I can, when I've got a bit of free time, I can just knock another one up, and someone else maybe will buy it. But if it's something like really, really, like someone on Etsy asked me to do a pie, like a mask of someone with a pie for a head, like like a pucker pie with the silver bottom on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say no to that. I don't like saying no to people.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do with that afterwards? Like a steak and kidney pie, it would have been a massive thing as well. It like sent me like the guy's face coming. It was like you can have a silver turtleneck that goes into the foil base, and like, like that's great, mate. But I can't unless I can stick a big hairy cock in it. I can't really sell it afterwards, So yeah, not most of the commissions I get a lot of people. Can you make me this? The best ones are, can you make me a phone case? Yeah, sure. What do you want on it? Do whatever you want on it. Like, just I love them ones. Oh, little ideas like it's got to have an eyeball on it. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So,
so what you process through, for making phone cases?
just blank phone cases. Roll the clay quite thin and then cut round it like a stencil. And it kind of bakes itself to the phone case when you cook it. Yeah, they're pretty easy, to be honest. Pretty simple. I still haven't really played about with them as much as I'd like, because there are lots of them out there, especially like there's lots of toothy eyeball type stuff, and I don't like to copy or want to do something that someone else is doing. A lot of the stuff I do, I try to lots of things I do something that people ain't seen before, like, and I want to be accused of copying something. It's like them little dolls I make. constantly getting Binding of Isaac, the game.
Oh yeah, I know it.
I don't know if you've seen them. I totally see the similarities, but I'd never even played the game. I've looked into it, and it looks wicked, like all the little monsters and that. So, but I've had people say, "Oh, you're just copying them." So I'm very wary of not trying to do anything like toothy eyeball lighters, and there's millions of them, especially phone cases. Yeah. So, but I ain't seen. Some are similar. I mean, you stick a tooth and an eyeball on it, and I suppose you're copying so and so. Like
you're gonna get some crossover, aren't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As I don't plan, I never plan anything. It just comes out. So I've got no references. I'm not sat there with other people's Instagrams and Etsy pages and trying to copy them. I can't copy. I've said that I can't replicate stuff. People ask me, "Can you make that fucked up baby you made the other week? Can I have one?" And I think a few people think I've just got this mold where I just put it in and it prints it out. Bam, there you go.
Yeah.
And what I found is when I have tried to do that, it just doesn't look as good as the original. So I'll say, I can make you something similar, but if I try and do a carbon copy, it just won't look as good. You won't be happy, I won't be happy. So let's make something different.
Yeah. So you've got like pipes, masks, phone cases, things like that. Have you got any ideas for other things that you'd really like to make?
Bigger things.
Okay.
About the size of a small child, maybe. Yeah. Just bigger things, yeah. I want to play about with silicon because obviously that's looks and feels. My stuff's it's like porcelain, so it's quite brittle. I have quite a few casualties in the post sometimes. In the past, I have. They don't take any notice of fragile. It don't matter how well you pack it; they'll just boot it. So, I have to bear that in mind when I'm making stuff, especially if it's got little tentacles and things like that. So silicone, it looks and feels like, flesh basically. So, but it's quite expensive and it's unknown territory, and you have to invest all this money basically just to fuck it up and then start again. So, but yeah, like weird little creatures, like I'd love to do that. And maybe when I'm rolling in money and I'm grey and old, I'll have enough money to mess about with little animatronics, make them move on their own. That's like the dream, basically. So,
Well,
but yeah,
that kind of leads me into another thing that I wanted to speak to you about. Have you ever thought about making animations or things like claymation, like Lee Hardcastle type stuff?
yeah, I did as a kid. My dad's old JVC camcorder used to do the old stop motion. Say it was Celebrity Deathmatch, and I used to make little things like that. But I feel like that's I don't know, like a whole new territory, something I'd have to learn from scratch again.
Yeah.
So I would like to. I think it would fit quite well because I've watched all them, and they are really good. They've right on my street basically, and I think I could. Yeah.
I think you certainly could. I mean, other than the technical side of it, obviously with the your tech setup, I think at least the creation of the claymation, the molds and things like that doesn't seem too far from your process already. Like you said, you'll sit there, you'll mess around with something, and then you'll find a form that you like.
Yeah.
It seems like the claymation might be similar to that, I guess. I don't really know.
Yeah, it'd just be weird just not to have a physical, put all that work in and have like a physical product at the end of it, which is, I've seen some of the guys on Instagram that do it, and it's basically just a pile of mush at the end of it because they've covered it in blood and basically goes in the bin.
Yeah.
When it's finished. But, they have this video at the end of it, but I'm used to having something I can feel and touch and sell but I don't know. I didn't think I'd be doing this as long as I did, and I can't imagine not doing it. So maybe in a few years I'll give it a go.
So one of your rewards from this is having something physical, something that you can kind of manipulate and touch at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I started doing, I said before, I always wanted a weird room when I was older, full of shit in jars and creepy stuff and skeletons, and I'd take the grandkids in and scare the shit out of them with it. Like, don't go in Granddad's creepy room, So, like, in my garage, I've got this shelf and it's got all my weird stuff on it. And one day I'll get into collecting, like, taxidermy bits, serial killers' toenails, just loads of weird shit like that. But it's kind of why I started doing it, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to be like a bit of a modern day Ed Gein type thing.
Yeah, that's it.
You ever thought about making a belt on nipples, or?
No, I haven't.
Maybe a belt of dicks?
Well, the nipples thing is a lie because obviously I work as a butcher in the day, and I've got I think there's photos on my Instagram where I just was cutting up a pig one day and cut all the nipples off and lined them all up nicely, and it did make me think of the nipple belt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did used to play about with schools and preserving stuff in jars, but it's smelly work and it was making my shed stink. I had like jars of pig's eyeballs and chicken heads and bones hanging from the ceiling, things like that. Yeah, this stuff, clay smells quite nice. Rotting eyeballs that smell like shit basically. So
yeah.
So yeah, don't do that anymore.
It's interesting. I mean, I said on the phone to you when we chatted last, a lot of people that create some really disturbing, messed up work, they tend to have really mundane jobs.
Yeah.
But yours is still kind of, well, to some people, still pretty disturbing, your day job.
Yeah, it can be sometimes, yeah. But as I say, you're just desensitised to it. You do get some pretty gross stuff. But you don't have to kill any animals. It's just cutting them up. I mean, every now and then you'll get something with a really infected boil on it and you slice it up and all shit flies everywhere. But where I work now is just cutting up meat like steaks. So I do the steaks basically, the fillet, the ribeyes, the sirloins, whereas a couple of years ago I used to work for a Zimbabwean guy in a South African butchery, and they'd have all imported like caterpillars like dried, and they'd fry them with onions and tomato, and they'd eat. I think it's Nigerians. They eat the cow's snout, so you'd have all them chopped up, goat stomach. The goat man had come on a Friday, deliver us a fresh goat, a bag of it's called the pluck. It's got the lungs, the liver, and the heart all attached, where they pluck it out of them, and they'd turn up and they'd still be warm. And the stomachs you'd have to rinse in the sink, and they still have hay and stuff in them, and they just smell like shit. You can't imagine what they smell like when they're fresh, let alone when they've been, they're a few days out of date. Yeah. But yeah, loads of little things like that, like in that butchery. It was just, I think in them countries, they make the most out of all here we eat all the choice cuts and the nice, we all can't have fat on it, and half people don't even like touching raw meat, whereas in countries in Africa where they ain't got a lot of money, beggars can't be choosers, so the bones, the feet they boil up, the hooves, caterpillars, so yeah, they eat some interesting stuff, so a lot of gross stuff as well. So.
What's like something that you've seen there that you've really been like, okay, this is really fucked up?
So it was in the centre of town where we had this little shop. It was like in a little arcade, and you get all sorts of people come in, and there was a guy come hobbling in once, said he shoots rabbits down like an industrial estate. You get one all over the place, and there'll be rabbits running around like on a roundabout on an island, and there'll just be loads of rabbits. He says, I shoot rabbits, do you sell them? And I says, yeah, you can do. I'll get a few of them in, see how they go. I'll have a go at skinning them, and literally pulled up an article on, I don't know, Wikipedia or something like that, step by step how to skin and prepare a rabbit. So the next day he turns up with about 8 rabbits in a box covered in newspaper in the boot of his car, and they were literally moving because they were riddled with fleas.
Oh man!
So I shoot some of them like through the head, and the little skull hanging out, eyeballs flapping about. So I was like, right, I kind of regret this already, but so it'll be fun, like something to do, gut and skin a rabbit. So yeah, I took them all in. I was like, right, I can't really be taking them into the shop when they're covered in fleas. Mm-hmm. So I was like, put my thinking cap on. I was like, how do we get rid of these fleas? So we had a machine. It's like a vacuum machine. Use the vacuum pack bags that you get your meat in, sucks all the air out of them.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, I'll put each rabbit in a bag and then seal it up, and that will suffocate the fleas. That was my thinking anyway. So what the machine does is it fills it up like a balloon, the bag, and then sucks all the oxygen out. Mm-hmm. So I was watching the rabbit in there, and it inflated the rabbit in the bag like a balloon.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like wincing because I thought it was going to explode, and then sucked all the air out, and then basically everything inside the rabbit it sucked out as well. So there weren't many smells that like turned my stomach like that. It was just, there was shit everywhere. There was brains. There was eyeballs. Basically, I had a bag, and it was all over the machine. And I ended up chucking half of them in. I think I saved one, and then give it to a dog, because it was disgusting. Like, it was just made of shit, like brown. It was like baby shit. Like it smelled like a nappy. Like I'd been left in the sun for a week. It was horrible. And I think actually on the start of my Instagram, there's pictures of the rabbit. I don't know whether I took them off, but yeah, there's me doing it on the table. There's all eyeball hanging out. But it was weird. It felt like a cat. It was very weird doing it. It felt like when you pick a cat up, it was the same sort of weight. It felt soft, mm-hmm. And then you basically have to stick your knife in and rip it to pieces. And it was quite hard to do that.
Yeah, I bet.
I thought it'd be quite easy, but no, totally not worth the effort. I didn't feel like selling that to people. I'm pretty sure you can't do that anyway. So yeah, I give it to someone for his dog. So yeah, I won't be doing that. But yeah, that was gross. It was pretty gross.
Well, do you think that like the stuff that you see, day to day, I imagine that kind of helps with with your work? With like the anatomy of things, and well, you likely know what guts look like and all that different things.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. It weren't long after doing that in the butchery with the African one that I started doing this. So I wouldn't like to say that. Yeah, it's because of that. There are certain little things like turkey. Your turkey, your big ones you get at Christmas, just the breasts, turkey butterfly, I think it's called. We do a load of them, and I hate turkey. It's horrible. So it brings you out in a rash if you handle it raw too often. But yeah, the skin, they're quite pale, and they've always got like a purpley vein running through them, and they're quite good. I often think of them for. I'd like to replicate that exactly because they're all goose pimpled and they've all got veins going through. They're fucking horrible. I hate them, but yeah, they are good for that.
Yeah, I mean that would be something that you could create that would turn people's stomachs even more.
Like turkey.
Yeah. I definitely like that goosebump sort of texture on the flesh. I think would be really cool to explore.
Yeah, it's quite. I've tried to do it. You can do it with clay because what you do is like you flick it on and it makes little bumps.
Okay.
Because it's like really sloppy and water based. I've seen people do it, but the clay I use is it's not wet at all. So, but yeah, maybe like a stamp or something.
So do you use reference photos at all for anything or?
No, I feel like that's a bit cheating. I try not to. I want to be able to do it without looking at anything. I feel a bit restricted when I've got say when I've done commissions or something, and then I end up getting frustrated because I can't get it to look like what it is on the picture, and I end up chucking it across the room. So it's not relaxing and it's not fun for me trying to being bound to it should look like this. So, I mean, if I'm really struggling, I'll either throw it across the room or I will, really concentrate. There's just little things like a mouth and eyelids and sound quite simple, but they can affect the look of the whole thing. So yeah, I try not to, but if there's something, it usually comes to mouths and eyes and nostrils and the shape of a face, where I will reference something or pull up a picture. So yeah, I try not to, but I have to sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I mean things like eyeballs and like eyelids and the nose and your lips and stuff like that you create, they look so fucking realistic. And the dicks and the fannies, like mate, your dicks and fannies are like the best, just ones I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you.
I just
What, the
look
ones
at
I
them.
make?
I just look at them and I'm just like, how,
Yeah.
and you've got like all this gunk and shit and it just looks so fucking real. And I'm like, to me, you must have like a wall of just pictures of dicks and fannies that you look at and you go, right, okay, yeah, that's like, maybe I get a bit of extra meat on the shaft there or something. I don't know, but I just, it blows me away.
No, I wish I did have a wall of dicks and fannies, but no, dicks. I was going to say I'm so wrong saying it, but they come easy to me. Like I don't know. It's fannies that are quite hard. Maybe I ain't seen enough of them, but maybe I've seen too many dicks. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was something that just come out of accident. It's the wrinkly bit. I mean, the people always say, "Oh, is it modelled after your own?" And I say, "Well, look at the size of it. Mine's not that big." But it was like a wrinkly thing. I was doing something one day, just prattling about with the clay, and I was like, "Oh, it looks a bit like a foreskin." So, right, that's it. Everything I make now will have a foreskin hanging off the end of it. So yeah, it was just one of them, trial and everything. But the vaginas are quite hard to do. I don't enjoy making them.
Yeah, I mean, going into the details of it, obviously, a dick is kind of like, it's more solid, isn't it? Whereas, like, with the vagina, there's layers. You've got some depth there.
Yeah, you can't. You'd be surprised how hard it is to find a picture of a fanny online. Like, it's people say, "Oh, just porn," and it's unless you you freeze framing and you got the perfect angle and I need to know like the meaty lip and all the
Yeah.
little wrinkles, and it's quite hard to. The best you can get really is like the medical drawings.
Yeah.
But no, you can play about with it because every fanny looks different. Basically, some look beat up, some are nice and symmetrical. So it's one of them. You don't really have to follow anything. You can just play about with it.
Yeah,
so.
you can go wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that really kind of like unnerves me around your work is, you're not just creating these sort of random monsters that you're just the things that you do. You kind of like entwine like real horrors within them. So things like tumors and bile and shit like that. Like that's kind of what real creeps me out and unnerves me about your work. Is it like a conscious thing for you to kind of like explore those things?
Yeah, just gross stuff basically. That unsettling feeling is just something I've tried to, because I've said that I'm not fussed with horrors, and like if I was to watch a horror film like blood and gore, it's probably with a lot of people, it just don't excite me. I was talking to my missus the other day about werewolves and zombies and mummies. They just bored the tits off me like they always used to. They were just not scary, like like that Momo mask that's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like that don't really move. It's not in a film, but it scares the shit out of people. It's just looking at it just makes it's unsettling and creepy, and it's just something that gets you back up. Like, I mean, I look at my stuff and I don't think it does that, but people say it does. Oh, it's gross. I can't look at it, because to me it's just glue and clay. And
Yeah.
it's like my dad. He was saying, I was like, Daddy, are you proud of me what I do? And he says, I've got a strong stomach. But he's like, fuck me, some of the stuff you make. He says, it must have dropped you on your head when you was a kid. He says, I can't even look at it. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you. So obviously it does. But to me, it's just, that's what I was on about, like with the kids, and I'm running away with like bloody tampons and stuff, because to me it don't faze me at all. But if it makes people feel a bit uncomfortable, the shit I used to have as a kid, like gross toys and slime and things that creep people out, I guess I like that reaction. This is probably a form of attention seeking, but no, that's what I try to do. It's like if I was to make a mask, it would be, how can I make this really gross and unsettling, not to make a werewolf that's all big fangs and it's going to scare people. It's how do I make this stay with people? And if this was to just be in your window staring at you, you'd think about it for weeks.
Yeah. I certainly think that you've accomplished that. Yeah, I mean, all of your work, it definitely is very unsettling. So I think you've done a really good job there.
It's a big compliment, thank you.
Well, Jason, that's been about an hour. I don't want to leave you or keep you on any longer. So I'll put links to where people can find you and things. But
yeah, that's great.
Is it just your Etsy and your Instagram, or is there anything else you'd like to plug?
No, that's it. I'll just try and keep it nice and simple. Don't want to confuse myself with too many things going on. So I find it quite hard, and I keep it to them too, so people can reach. I mean, sometimes I get emails that are lost in the spam, and they're asking me for things, and I just never see them because there's too many tentacles out there. Then I'll never keep track of them all. So yeah, it's just Instagram and just Etsy. I mean, I do put stuff on Facebook, but that's because it's linked automatically to my Instagram. So Facebook works as well, but mainly Instagram and Etsy.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jason. I really, really do appreciate it. It's been great talking to you.
No, you too. It's been fun. Thank you.